If your camera had 3 different RAW file sizes, would you find them useful? Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto and I'm a photographer. And now let's talk about RAW file sizes. Most cameras have at least three different file sizes for JPEGs. Small, medium and large. But what if your camera had those same options for RAW files as well? You could choose small, medium or large RAW file. Would you find that useful and would it make any sense for your photography? My Sony A7 IV that I'm using right now to film this video recently got a firmware update, and one of the improvements is that I can now choose 3 different RAW file sizes. In this video I'm gonna share a few thoughts on these smaller RAW files and do they make any sense for my photography. So far I haven't shot many small or medium-sized RAW files because I did not have RAW support for those files. But Lightroom just got an update and it now supports those small and medium-sized Sony RAW files. And now I can share a few thoughts on those files, even though I haven't still shot many of those. The small RAW is just over 8 megapixels and the medium-sized RAW is just over 14 megapixels and the large RAW of course is 33 megapixels, the native sensor resolution in my camera. And when I shot this beautiful view from my office window early this morning and I tried all these 3 different RAW sizes, the file size for the small RAW was about 17 megabytes and for the medium RAW it was about 25 megabytes and for the large and shall we say native RAW it was about 40 megabytes. So it looks like the jump from large to medium size is quite significant. The file size is almost halved, but 14 megapixels is still good enough resolution for many purposes. The jump from medium to small RAW doesn't make that much sense, at least to me, because the file size is not that much smaller and 8 megapixel by modern standards is quite small. I haven't made any deep scientific examination of these small and medium-sized RAW files, but they seem to behave exactly the same way as the large or native RAW file size. They offer all the same post-processing possibilities and options. But what is the point? Don't you want the best possible image quality if you shoot RAW in the first place? I think the point in my case with the Sony A7 Mark IV is a bit questionable because 33 megapixels is not that huge file. 33 is a good number, 33 megapixels is a good number of pixels and it's enough for most purposes. But it's also not too big to fill up your hard drive instantly or congest your post-processing workflow. However, if you have something like 61 megapixels, like in the A7R Mark IV or the upcoming A7R Mark V, which is most likely to have these small RAW options as well, then it makes more sense to have these smaller options. The APS-C size in the A7R Mark IV is about 26 megapixels and I'm pretty sure that is going to be the medium-sized RAW in the upcoming A7R Mark V. And 26 megapixels is certainly plenty enough for many casual photo moments, if you feel that 61 megapixels is too much. Because those massive 61 megapixel RAW files, they will fill up your hard drive and they will also hinder your post-processing workflow even if you have a fairly powerful computer. But I still see this as a good new feature also in my camera, the Sony A7RV, and I'm certainly going to try it. And I hope it becomes more like a standard for many other cameras too, because the pixel war is not over. Take a look at the new Fujis, for example. They have 40 megapixels, and it certainly looks like that's going to be the new standard for Fuji. I feel that something like a 20 megapixel medium-sized RAW in those Fuji 40 megapixel Fuji cameras might be a very attractive option. And I'm gonna set my file format to medium-sized 40 megapixel RAW in my Sony A7RV and see how it works. And 40 megapixels is certainly enough for most of my current work, because most of my pictures appear in my videos, 4K videos, and one 4K frame is about 8 megapixels. So with 14 I still have plenty of room to crop even. However, there is one thing that I consider a minor downside, and that is one more error possibility. Let's say I now set my file format to medium-sized 14 megapixel RAW, and then one day I really need all those 33 megapixels that are available in my camera, but I forget to change the setting. It is a user error, of course, but anyway, that is one more place for an error. I generally do not like to change some of the basic settings in my cameras, and one of those basic settings is file format. So when I go out and start taking pictures, I don't have to worry about those certain basic settings. I only worry about the exposure and focus, and that's pretty much it. And I feel it's very easy to forget to change the file format if you are used to having it in one certain way. But one more time, what do you think about small RAW files? Would you use them if they were available in your camera? And now let me remind you of our 2023 workshop, link down below. It's for all of you who'd like to become better photographers and better storytellers. And if you found this video very useful, please do consider buying me a cup of coffee. There's a link down below for that too, if you don't live in Finland. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again in the next video.